Hey guys, welcome to Herding Little Cows. Today is October 15th, and this little guy is 2 days old. 2 days and 4-ish hours old. So today we came home from the hospital, and we still have a lot of stories to tell, but one of the things that people don't talk about the hospital is all the different stuff that has to be put in place to be released from the hospital. So today we had a couple hours of paperwork and tests and things that had to be done before we left. So this little guy last night passed his hearing test. Some babies don't pass that if they still have a lot of fluid in their ears and things from the birth, but he passed that test. He had his bilirubin levels checked, which is the test for jaundice. He looks a little yellow under this light, but he's really not. I look a little yellow under this light too. So that test for jaundice, they want the numbers under 11. His was 7, so he's fine. You hear one of my other little ones. What else do they have to do? There's the heel prick test. The circumcision is done before you leave the hospital. We don't do that, but that would have been done before we left the hospital today. There's just lots of paperwork to get established. And then things like last night his temperature was a little off at one point, so we had to make sure that that wasn't a problem by getting him warmed up and retesting a couple times. For him, we had to make sure that his blood sugars were okay because of my gestational diabetes, but I will talk more about that and the diet that I went on through the pregnancy. But this little guy was smaller than 3 of his siblings, just from changing the way that I eat. And his blood sugars were all great. They wanted him over 45, I think, and his were like 54, 82, and 70 or something like that. They tested it 3 different times, and they were all good numbers, so we didn't have to test anymore. And his respirations, he likes to eat really, really fast. So whenever they tested his respirations while he was eating, he was breathing really fast with the eating. So we were to keep an eye on that. But they passed him this morning. One of the very fun things we've been able to do while we've had this, through this pregnancy and delivery, is to be able to meet other healthcare providers that are not our own, both here in our local community and outside our local community. So I think I mentioned in another video, we have some med students that are working in different areas of the hospital right now. And one of the male med students, well, there's 2 of them. So the male med student, Jasper, I got to meet through our pregnancy classes. He came when we would get our belly checks they would test the baby's heart rate and stuff with the Doppler, and then we would learn about pregnancy and nutrition and everything. And he sat in on those classes, and it was fun to have him in the class and to just see what he was learning going into seeing what part of medicine he wants to go into full time. And then we got to have Katie, the other med student, deliver this little guy the other day. And today at the hospital, I got to meet one of our local pediatricians I've never met. She was very nice, Dr. Cloby, I think was her name. And I met a visiting pediatrician from Bangor area, I think. I don't remember. But he came in the room and checked out the baby, and we were able to talk about some stuff that he was learning about our hospital. So it's fun to be an encouragement to these doctors that I don't get to see in other aspects. Like Dr. Cloby works in the pediatricians group that we go to, but I don't usually see someone other than our regular doctor, as we don't go very often. So it's been neat to meet these other people that are involved in healthcare and the different nurses and things. Because we live in a small community, these people are really our neighbors and people that we will run into at the store, people that I know, like the one nurse. I knew her sister from when I was in high school. And just the connections you have with people when you live in a small town are different than if you live in a big city. So these nurses that we had, I've had a couple of them for, like Dawn, who was my nurse during delivery, has also been there when I delivered Uriah and when I delivered Josiah. She was in my delivery nurse both times. The nurse that I had today has been my baby nurse a couple times through these different pregnancies. So it's fun to go back as I know these different people and can kind of pick up where we were, but also just being able to meet new people through these experiences and learn about them. So I'm going to do a longer video tomorrow at some point is my plan, that is going to talk about the actual birthing experience and the just intimacy and learning about each other that we did of the nurses and midwives as we were in labor and the actual delivery, and how that has made an impact on all of us, I think. So I will talk to you guys tomorrow. I hope you get a good night's sleep. I hope this little guy gets a good night's sleep. Whoop. But he's a good eater. And back to the hospital discharge, I forgot to say, they also have to do all the discharge stuff on Mom to make sure that my body is doing what it needs to do the healing and everything. So it was a couple hours of waiting for the midwife to come in and the paperwork for the baby to get done and all of those things. People don't talk about that. But if you're having a baby, know that that last day there's a bunch of different paperwork and stuff that needs to be accomplished. So we will see you guys tomorrow. Thank you for joining our family as we welcome this new little guy into the outside world, and just glory to God in all of it. See you guys tomorrow.